Hi guys, and welcome back to the third week and the third episode here of the MMA Flashback podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Olivia.
And welcome back to the third successive one. So we're here today, we're going to be talking about UFC Glendale Bellator 197. We're going to discuss the news. We're also going to discuss our flashback card where we saw the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale and UFC 52, as well as our picks for the upcoming UFC event at UFC Atlantic City. So, Olivia, how have you been?
Really good. Really enjoyed the cards this week. Say 52 is my favourite card that we've watched so far. There's only been two others, but really enjoyed it. Got a sense that it was, and still is, a really important card for the company and for MMA in general.
Yeah, I think it was the first pay-per-view after that mental TUF finale.
Yeah.
So you had the attraction of, oh, UFC, I'll watch this.
Finally breaking into the mainstream, finally becoming from sort of the underground sport that only certain people knew about to a mainstream sport that everyone knew about, at least had heard of.
Yeah, and this pay-per-view certainly capitalised on it. It was fantastic, but we'll get into that when we go into the flashback card segment. But yeah, we'll start off with going ahead and looking at the fights that have previously happened. Last week we forgot to mention Bellator 196. So this week we're going to kick off with 197. So it's the Friday night card. I got around to watching it in this Saturday, since I didn't really want to stay up for a Bellator event. But yeah, we had Bellator 197 headlined by Michael Chandler and Brandon Gertz. I think it's a bit obvious who was going to win, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gertz came in as a replacement for someone, isn't it?
Yeah, Primus came in.
Okay, yeah.
So originally meant to be for the belt, Chandler meant to be getting his rematch, but yeah, pulled out a
TUF
victory.
Obviously won. Tough not to win the belt back. Obviously, with that last fight, it was not controversy so much, but a little bit unlucky. He had that leg injury where he couldn't really stand up on it, so obviously he was looking forward to getting his belt back. But a win's a win. He gets paid either way, so I'm sure he's happy to get another one in the books.
Yeah, so an arm triangle choke there for Chandler. 4 minutes inside the first round. It was a good performance by him, but it was expected really. I think Chandler came in like a minus 1,000 favourite, so.
Wow.
Yeah, Chandler definitely favourite to win that fight. The co-main event, we saw the undefeated AJ McKee Jr. Calls himself the Floyd Mayweather of the MMA world. He took on Justin Lawrence, and yeah, another decent victory for him, wasn't it?
Didn't watch it, but I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, McKee controlled the fight, just good for AJ
I see
McKee.
it was
really.
a unanimous decision, so you assume that he could control the fight.
Yeah, he's a good fighter. I really want to see him step up his competition. Justin Lawrence, obviously a former UFC fighter, so that was interesting to see how he got on there, and he certainly passed the test. 11-0 now. I maybe want to see him come up against a James Gallagher, someone like that. Maybe get him on the Bellator 200 card. That'd be alright, wouldn't it? But yeah, that was that fight. Then we also saw Logan Storley. He picked up a unanimous decision win against Joaquin Buckley. He climbs to 8-0 now. Wrestling prodigy, decent fighter. And we also saw Kevin Ferguson Jr., Kimbo's son, Baby Slice. He picked up a submission victory inside the first round, 34 seconds to be precise, over Devon Brock. You surely saw this one, right?
I watched the highlights afterwards.
Well, I mean, it was 34 seconds.
The highlight, the whole 34 seconds. Kimbo's son's got game.
Yeah, he looks really good.
He looks decent. I mean,
granted, he was against someone who'd only had one professional MMA fight before that, but
he's also very fortunate in that most sons of professional athletes usually get.
I wouldn't go far as to call Kimbo a professional.
No, but they usually get compared to their fathers. He's lucky to be compared to Kimbo, and that Kimbo is not remembered very fondly for his fighting skills. He's remembered fondly as a character, as an amazing, I'm sure, half decent street fighter or whatever.
And he was a nice guy as well, from all accounts.
A lot of people say that he was a nice guy, so he's lucky that in terms of MMA, he's sort of paving the way for the Kimbo family, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so 3-fight win streak now for Baby Slice, 26 years old. Kind of, we don't know which weight class he's going to be at, welterweight, lightweight. His last fight was a catchweight fight of 159. Be interesting to see where Baby Slice goes from here. I want to see him step up his competition. I think if you continue to build Baby Slice up, he could, keep giving him gradually steps up in competition. Could be
still young, so he's got time.
Yeah, UFC could even snap him up, get him on the next season of The Ultimate Fighter. You never know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for the Bellator card. Elsewhere, we saw the likes of Juliana Velasquez pick up a win. She won by TKO from a kick to the stomach. Derek Anderson, long-time Bellator veteran, he picked up a unanimous decision win. And then we also saw former Ultimate Fighter veteran Adam Seller pick up the win. Obviously, he was known for that head kick KO by Uriah Hall. He won in 4 minutes 27 of the very first round. So moving into UFC Glendale then. Our main event was Justin Gaethje taking on the Diamond Dustin Poirier. But we're not going to go into that one just yet. We're going to go ahead and look at the preliminary fights. So Olivio, how did you feel about the overall preliminary fights?
I thought it was a really fun card from start to finish. Obviously, the night was building up to that main event. We'll get to it in a second, but fun fights, fun night of fights. UFC, obviously with the new TV, but they're putting on shows on Fox at the moment. Their fight nights are getting better and better with bigger and bigger names. And after the disappointment that was last year, they're starting to hit their stride this year, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, although they're more than likely going to be leaving Fox,
yes,
you've still got the possibility just in case.
I heard that it might be a two-network deal.
Yeah, so it's ESPN and NBC, I think it was, and they're going to split weight classes up between each brand.
Don't know how that's going to work.
There's going to be no Ultimate Fighter. It's just going to be
I don't think too many people are
Dana White's Contender Series. I don't know. I don't.
It's a tough one. I like the Contender Series. I don't watch many of it, but I like the thought because you can do it more often than a Ultimate Fighter. The Ultimate Fighter needs production. You need to have coaches. The coaches can't fight.
You also got the fact that it counts on their professional MMA record.
Yeah.
Whereas exhibition,
yeah,
where it'd be usual.
So it's a good idea. I think in terms of making prospects, it's a really good idea. And the UFC's been slightly pulled up on not making prospects in the past in wasting guys. And I think this is a really good way to find prospects and to make prospects. So I don't mind it in terms of that, but it is weird having it in two different organizations with two different weight classes going to each one. It'll be a bit weird to see, but I'm sure they'll figure something out.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult as well, because what are you going to do for Fight Pass customers now? Because they want you to pay for ESPN Plus or something like that, which is £5 a month.
Which I don't think we'll get here either way.
Yeah, so what do they want us to do for the UK customers, like Fight Pass wise? I know that with the preliminary cards, with Fox and pay-per-view events, when they are on Fox, we usually get them on Fight Pass anyway, which I enjoy, but what are they going to do after that?
You also have to ask the question in that with Fox, they've built up a system. You've obviously got the Fox Fight Pass prelims, but you always have the pre-fight shows, the post-fight shows, the during fight shows, and they've got a really good team. I enjoy when you're watching something on Fight Pass prelims when it cuts to Karen Bryant and Tyrone or whoever else it is. DC. They're really good. Exactly, it's really fun to watch. And it's going to be interesting to see, obviously the fighters are going to go over there, they're not going to stick with Fox, they're going to travel with the thing. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in that aspect. But
and I enjoy the setup of UFC tonight as well.
Yeah.
I like the studio, I like how it's not a mega studio, it's like a green screen kind of most of the time. I enjoy the show as well, whenever I see clips of it. We just saw DC and Gus have a bit of an intense moment. I really enjoyed it. But going into the first fight either way, we had Luke Sanders defeating Patrick Williams by unanimous decision. Sanders had a few wrestling fans in the crowd. I didn't actually see this fight. First fight I started watching up was the Adam Wizorek fight versus Arjan Bula. I was at TGI Fridays. I was up at TGI Fridays until the Fox card actually. I just got in as Brad Tavares started fighting Jocko. So I literally saw it as that happened. But yeah, I went back and watched up to that start of that fight. But how did Alejandro Perez versus Matthew Lopez go?
I unfortunately didn't watch him either. I started watching from the prelims on the Fox prelims as opposed to the Fight Pass prelims. I had no TGI story, I just didn't want to watch it, basically. Obviously he won, TKO.
Yeah, knees and punches apparently from what we can see here. Round 2, 3 minutes 42. Maybe I'll go back and watch that one then.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see.
But going where I started watching then, we had Adam Wizorek. He took on Arjan Bula. Unique because it was an omoplata finish in the heavyweight division. A round 2 knockout for him. 1 minute 59. Round 2 sub. My apologies. 1 minute 59 for him. Arjan obviously was going into this fight undefeated. He had a lot of support behind him due to the
Indian contingents and the whole turban thing where he wasn't allowed to wear it in his last fight.
I couldn't forget the name of it.
Yeah, wasn't allowed to wear it this time, which is big considering that Reebok do not allow athletes to wear anything that isn't Reebok.
Well, Cowboy gets an exception.
Cowboy gets the exception with the hats, but the hats are hats. It's a weird one. Cowboy's a big name, so it's nice to see them make an exception. People finally starting to see that maybe they should let other people wear other things, because it's not quite working out for them at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Reebok deal I think is up as well soon.
Yeah.
So
I actually, oddly enough, slightly off topic, but I watched the podcast this morning. Supposedly, Reebok are not interested in re-signing them.
good. Let's get everyone back with sponsors on them. Brendan Sharp can come back now.
People are fighting to watch that fight again.
Next fight was Yushin Okami making the cut down to welterweight. His last fight was at light heavyweight. This time he was at welterweight. And it was a very impressive performance, defeating former Ultimate Fighter finalist Diego Lima. 30-26 did all the judges see that fight. I was very impressed. I like Okami. He's an old school UFC fighter. Well, we talk about old school now as being like these UFC 80 days. So yeah, happy to see Okami get the win. I like Okami, and it's good to see him down at welterweight. After that, Lauren Mueller took on Shayna Dobson. 29-28 win for Lauren Mueller. Hey, fair enough. I think I had that on Tapology as a Mueller decision, so well, hey. And then, in my opinion, the most impressive performance out of the Fight Pass prelims, we saw Gilbert Burns defeat Dan Moret by knockout. Did you see the knockout?
I didn't. Again, I miss these things. I like to watch them, but for whatever reason I miss them. But going on to the main card, or to the Fox prelims now, Brad Tavares defeats Krzysztof Jotko, TKO via punches, 2 minutes 16 of round number 3. Really impressive showing from Tavares. He looked really good in the fight. Managed to get the win, obviously in a really, really dominant way. And it's nice to see these fighters go for the finish, even late into the fight. Because obviously third round, you usually think, just go for it. You might have won the first 2 rounds, just push. But it's nice to see these guys go for a finish. Yeah,
it was really impressive by him as well, because Tavares got his first stoppage victory since 2011. Yeah. His first stoppage since he beat Phil Baroni, a washed-up Phil Baroni. Very happy for him. He looked really good for that fight as well. Krzysztof Jotko, I had to win by decision.
He's not a slouch. It's not an easy fight, and to finish him is really, really impressive.
Yeah, Jotko, good fighter, and Tavares came in there and looked the real deal. Called out Michael Bisping as well afterwards. I don't like that. I'd rather see Michael Bisping fight someone who is deserving of a retirement fight.
Yeah, not an up-and-comer trying to build a name. I mean, Bisping's a legend. We speak about legends, and there's different levels to it. He's elevated British MMA to like, you can't say there's anyone that compares to it.
I think Michael Bisping has elevated
MMA in general, but British MMA to a whole nother level.
But yeah, going into the next fight, we had John Moraga taking on Wilson Hayes. This is a flyweight fight. Livia, how did you feel about this one?
It was interesting. I like Wilson Hayes. He's a good fighter. Obviously, we saw him fight DJ. It got stopped by DJ via submission. Jiu-jitsu specialist. Decent fight. Back and forth.
I was very happy for Moraga.
Yeah.
I like John Moraga. I think he's a good fighter. Obviously, he got the unanimous decision, 29-28 by all 3 judges. Yeah, I don't know how I scored this fight. I thought it was a bit mixed. I saw it as maybe a Hayes decision.
Yeah.
I thought he didn't have to win that last round, but
I thought he'd won it as well. I picked him going into the fight. Thought he won it during the fight. Obviously, he didn't. Unfortunately for him, but decent showing still, nonetheless.
Yeah, good flyweight win though. Either way for John Moraga, building a name off of Hayes. Hayes now losing 3 in a row, so could be difficult for him maybe to fight back.
Fights like this are showing the casuals out there that don't really watch these smaller guys because of. They're not quite as interesting, not quite as exciting. This was an exciting fight, and it just shows that sometimes weight isn't all it takes to make an exciting fight. You should just watch these guys because they're good fighters.
Yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable as well, like you said, and it was a contender for fight of the night at that point, until the main event came around.
I mean, there was only ever going to be one real fight at the night. But going on to the next fight.
Muslim Sakikov. He took on Ricky Rainey in the welterweight division, and he got a second round knockout.
Yeah, he's Russian. I'm assuming he's Russian.
Yeah.
Because of the name. Maybe not good to assume. But a kickboxer with an outstanding record.
Just under 200 fights in his career.
Crazy. Now these kickboxers fight a lot more often than MMA fighters, obviously, but still 199 fights, I think it was, is unbelievable. So you know that he's good on the feet.
Yeah, this is his second UFC fight. Obviously losing his debut to Alex Garcia. Previously beaten Melvin Gillard by spinning hook kick, which is like, wait a second, you're fighting Melvin Gillard? What? And Melvin Gillard missed weight in that fight as well. Melvin Gillard was 181 pounds.
Wow.
But yeah, he came in with the win. He's a bit of a spinning kick specialist. Won this fight by punches. Yeah,
interesting to see. I mean, expect things from him in the future. Obviously, it's always nice when you see these kickboxers. We saw another former kickboxer in the card further up. It's always nice to see these kickboxers make the transition, or these wrestlers make the transition into the sport and try and give us some exciting fights.
And finally, the main event of the preliminary card, we had Antonio Carlos Jr. defeating Tim Boetsch by first round submission. In my opinion, this was the most impressive performance, maybe of the whole card. Maybe you could make a case for Oliveira, but I think this is maybe the second or first best performance on the night. Antonio Carlos Jr. certainly someone to watch.
Yeah, in your list for prospects to watch in the future. Really, Tim Boetsch again, one of these guys is not easy to beat, and you finished him
in the first round as well, which makes it even more crazy. A man who fought at heavyweight before, he won the Ultimate Fighter Brazil at heavyweight, and he's got to go ahead and gone in here and beat Tim Boetsch at middleweight. It increased his win streak. I think he's now 6-1-1 since moving down to middleweight, which is very impressive.
Yeah. On a bit of a win streak at the moment, won his last 5. So interesting to see what he can do in the future. It should be a real good one, and obviously I know that you like him, so big things, expecting big things from the guy.
Yeah, really impressive performance and a good sub victory.
Yeah.
A bit of a rear naked choke specialist is Junior, so yeah, good to see him get the win.
Yeah.
Moving into the main card then on Fox, our first fight for the evening, we had a strawweight bout between Michelle Watterson and Courtney Casey. Controversy, I think.
See, I get the controversy talk. I wasn't too annoyed by the decision. I could have seen it going either way. I personally had Courtney Casey winning. I picked Michelle before the fight, but I mean, I'm not completely outraged by the Michelle Watterson decision.
Yeah, no, neither was I. I saw it as Casey's victory, but again, like you said, I could see it going either way. I thought Casey was just better overall looking.
She looked like she was willing to do more. She looked a little bit more on the attack, which obviously you'd like to see fighters win fights for being on the attack. That's not how judges see it. Unfortunately, they see it through a number of different ways. We don't all know exactly how they see it, but either way, it was a not terrible fight, not amazing fight. Just a good fight from two prospects, and Michelle obviously trying to get back into that title contention before she lost to Rose, I think it was. So they were pushing her at one point, and she's obviously trying to get back up there.
Yeah, so a good win for Michelle Watterson, finally snapping that 3-fight loss streak. In the middleweight division, we saw your boy, Israel Adesanya. He picked up a split decision victory over Marvin Verotti. I don't see why it was a split. I think Adesanya won that 2-1. But clearly one judge saw it the other way. Vettori was very aggressive after the fight.
He was. I heard a little thing that he said today. If he sees Adesanya outside, he will slap him. Don't know exactly why.
I don't think he slapped him throughout the whole fight, did he?
No. I liked the fight. I mean, it wasn't as good as his last performance. Even on the mic afterwards, it wasn't as good as his last performance on the mic. But Adesanya is still a prospect. A lot of people jumped off the bandwagon. I thought earlier in the round he had some decent takedown defense. Going on to, Marvin Vettori is one of these guys that would just keep going for the takedown, keep going with the pressure, and we saw that eventually he got something. But still, I'm still on the Adesanya hype train. It'll take more than that for me to be jumped off, to be knocked off of it.
It was like I said, wasn't it, in the preview for it, Vettori is going to be a tough test for him, because he's that more of a grounded fighter. He likes to take things to the floor. But yeah, split decision win either way for the last airbender. I think that was his name, wasn't it?
Last Stylebender.
Last Stylebender, that's it. I was getting confused with that kid show with the kid in his
arrow.
That's where it's
from. That's where it's from. It's from Avatar, the last.
Going into the co-main event, then we saw Alex Oliveira step in on a week-and-a-half notice to defeat Carlos Condit by second round submission. In my opinion, this was the most impressive performance.
Heartbreaking. Impressive performance, but heartbreaking. Where does Condit go from now? He didn't look bad in the fight.
Bellator.
It's not a bad shout. His UFC contract isn't up, is it?
I don't know.
I don't think they release him. He's still too big of a name. They might do him a favour and release him, but Condit looked better in this fight than he did in the Magny fight. He looked like he was more up for a fight, but it's tough. He's on a bit of a losing streak at the moment.
Yeah, he's 2-7 in his last 9 fights.
Wow.
So I think that kind of says it all at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a tough going. We'll see what he comes back from. But shouldn't take anything away from Oliveira's win.
Fantastic victory without a doubt.
Looked really, really impressive.
2 weeks notice as well,
exactly.
coming in. A lot of people don't like Alex Oliveira because of the way he is. His style of fighting is enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's very much a Conor McGregor-esque. If
Yeah.
you look at the way he fights, he's a lot better in the grappling department and a lot more heavy-handed in there. But if you look at the way he is on his feet, he's so fluid. Isn't got his hands down as well a lot of the time.
I like that.
And the way he choked out Condit, he choked him out unconscious, and
Yeah.
I think he re-woke him back up.
It was an impressive performance, man, and it's probably his biggest win of his career so far. So see what he can do in the future with it.
Yeah, good win for Oliveira, and maybe I could see him fight the loser of the Nelson Magny fight. Could be a next matchup for him. Going in then to the main event, we had Dustin the Diamond Poirier getting the biggest win of his MMA career without a doubt. He defeated Justin Gaethje, and well, it's a contender for fight of the year, isn't it?
Easily. I think many people were saying before the fight that it was contender for fight of the year. Poirier has been known a little bit in the past to get into these sort of scrapping quote-unquote wars. Didn't quite do that this time. It was still an amazing fight, but he showed that he was maybe a step above class in terms of between him and Gaethje.
Yeah, it's a shame really we've seen kind of a little bit of a downfall of Gaethje because he's refusing to adapt his ways since coming from World Series of Fighting to now.
He was exactly the same at World Series of Fighting. From what I hear, people that used to watch him WSOF say that he was exactly the same. Apparently these lower tier guys used to put hands on him as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's not going to progress anywhere in his career. He used to be a bloody national wrestling champ or some shit.
People keep saying that every time he goes into a fight. People say he should use his wrestling more. But you've got to ask the question: if he does use his wrestling more, then he isn't the Justin Gaethje that everyone knows and loves.
And he always complains about how he's tired of getting fatigued. Remember, this is a man that doesn't cut much weight to get to 155, and in my opinion, could easily make featherweight, and refuses to do it because he's too scared of getting tired.
Yeah, I mean,
this is his words to John Anik.
He's set in his ways, and even so, he's an amazing fighter nonetheless. Nice to see him take a fight maybe outside of the top 5, maybe going into close to almost outside the top 10 just to get that confidence back. Obviously on a 2-fight lose streak, I think most of these guys in the top 5 are a little bit more technical than him.
Yeah, I think maybe a fight with someone like a Aubin Mercier.
Yeah,
maybe.
Nice to see Mercier's obviously on the come up after his win 2 weeks ago, I think it was now. Nice to see him just
called out.
Basically.
He got called out by Gilbert Burns as well post fight, which is interesting because we've seen Gilbert Burns before meant to fight Mercier. Burns came in, I think it was 184 pounds before fight week, and they were like, "We ain't having you cut that weight, son." And then he got pulled from the card. But I don't know. Who do you want to see Gaethje fight next? Because it's interesting.
I'm not too sure. I don't know if I've got a name exactly off the top of my head. I just feel like these guys in the top 5 for sure. When you look at the other people at lightweight in the top 5, they're very, very. All of them are tough fights. From Conor won't get into that striking war with you. He's very, very technical. Obviously, he's not getting the Khabib fight anytime soon.
I don't think he's getting the Conor fight either.
He's not getting the Conor fight anytime soon either. Tony Ferguson will strike with you for a little bit, but then when you go to the ground, Tony Ferguson's jiu-jitsu is just crazy, and even his striking's pretty good. Who else is in the top? Let's just have a quick look.
Edson Barboza's there. I mean, think
that's not even close. The way he fights Edson will just pick him apart.
He would die.
We saw the Eddie fight already, so there's not really anyone else in that top 5. Kevin Lee's a tough one.
I don't think he fights Kevin Lee. A lot of people wanted him to fight the loser of Barboza versus Lee. Obviously, and then the winner of Barboza versus Lee goes on to fight Gaethje. I personally wouldn't want to see that. I think Poirier has done enough to get the title shot now.
I don't think he gets it.
No.
He might get it. I feel like he shouldn't get it for a reason that I feel like he shouldn't get it because the only way to draw conclusion to that lightweight is to have either Tony or Conor fight Khabib. One of the two. That's the fight. Let's be honest. But Nate's ranked below him. I think he probably loses the Nate fight. Nate's boxing is just
Chiesa.
Yeah, that'll be a fun fight.
Chiesa with his ground-based game, and then you've got Gaethje who will just kick the shit out of your legs.
Yeah.
That could be an interesting fight to see.
Iaquinta's not a bad fight.
No.
Iaquinta doesn't mind getting hit. We saw that in the Khabib fight. So that's not a bad fight. But going into Poirier, because obviously we spoke about Gaethje, we spoke about him maybe going for the title next. Interesting to see what he does. You said he deserves it. I feel like he deserves it as well. Other than obviously Tony and Conor, there isn't really anyone else in that top 5. I mean, the only other person in that top 5 is Eddie. And Edson.
We know that Eddie's refused to fight.
With Poirier, yeah. They don't want the rematch.
Multiple times, 5 times apparently.
I really do hope they make that a rematch. There was controversy in the last fight. Obviously, the controversy was that there was knees to a grounded opponent.
And then I think it was Eddie couldn't continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see that run back. No, I think it was the doctor stopped it for knees to a grounded opponent, if I remember that correctly.
Either way,
it'll be interesting to see.
Poirier was winning that fight, and
yeah,
Eddie was getting beat.
It'd be nice to see that fight run back, not just because of the controversy in the last one. But
think how good the fight would be
it was
as well.
a really fun fight up until that point, and it will be a really fun fight again, I'm sure.
So yeah, that does it for our Glendale review, kind of. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and look at our fight flashback card. We went ahead and watched the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale and UFC 52. We'll start off with TUF 1's finale, since that was the first first card that was on that time. I just wrote down as my first note, I still find it crazy that both Kenny Florian and Diego Sanchez fought in middleweight.
Yeah. Obviously, Kenny went down to 155 afterwards for Aldo for the belt. But obviously with
145.
145, sorry. I don't know what I'm saying, 145 for Aldo for the belt. And it's obviously with
Sanchez has spent his career mostly at 155, and he went down to fight Lamas at 145.
Yeah, but with the Yoma fight, the caveat is that you just want to get in there and fight, basically.
Well, Rashad Evans won it at heavyweight.
Exactly. You just want to get the wins and get into the UFC, and from there on, I mean, you're there. They can't really get rid of you unless they really want to.
Well, look at Eddie Gordon.
I mean, they can definitely get rid of you, but you're there, so you can go wherever from there. But really fun, and it was the first Ultimate Fighter.
It's the first time UFC was on national television as well.
First time there was a real sort of buzz about MMA, full stop.
I think the show itself was wonderful. I went back and watched all of it.
Yeah.
I've got a few quotes. "You fatherless bastard" was it's one of the best quotes from. It's one of the best moments from that Ultimate Fight season, with Chris Lieben smashing the bottle over his head, and then going and laying in the garden, and then Southworth and Koscheck come along with the hose, spray him down with the hose, and then he punches a window, and then he wakes Diego Sanchez up halfway, and it's weird. And then Diego Sanchez trying to fight Stephan Bonnar over some food, and
it didn't do much for the stereotype that fighters are these mindless sort of beasts. It really didn't do much for that. But back when the Ultimate Fighter was the Ultimate Fighter, when it was a show that was bringing out these prospects. I mean, if you just go over some of the people that were on that season, you got people. Obviously, Stephan Bonnar went on to make a name for himself. Forrest Griffin, Kenny Florian, Diego Sanchez. You mentioned Josh Koscheck,
Mike Swick,
Chris Lieben,
Nate Quarry.
Just absolute names, and you see that throughout the earlier seasons of it. Not so much now. You see that throughout the earlier seasons of the Ultimate Fighter, and it's really interesting to see how many big names and how many, we throw the word legend around, but how many of these stars of UFC came out from the Ultimate Fighter as opposed to now.
Well, if you look at the Ultimate Fighter, the first few seasons, so you've got TUF 1, you had a champion in Forrest Griffin.
Yeah.
TUF 2, you had a champion in Rashad Evans. TUF 3, you had a champion in Michael Bisping. TUF 4, you had a champion in Matt Serra, pretty sure. TUF 4, yeah. TUF 5, Nate Diaz.
Not quite,
Nate Diaz.
but he's yeah, exactly.
Fought for the belt.
There we go. He's a guy that's well known, and you see these people come out. I mean, you would say recently that one of probably the biggest names, Tony Ferguson, to come out of.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You think about that TUF, and that's like 10, 11 TUFs ago now, which is crazy to think. Probably the most relevant Ultimate Fighter that's come out recently is Jessie Taylor, and well,
Yeah, I mean, or the lady that won the 135 belt. I forgot her name now. But that Native American lady.
yeah, the
She
woman.
won it.
Yeah, I can't
She's
think of
the
her
champ.
name either.
Exactly. We can't even think of it. She hasn't fought since she's been injured.
Is it Marlos Conan?
No.
I'm pretty. Or is she the featherweight Invicta champ? I don't know.
Either way, no one's given her a chance against Valentino, who was already on the book. So it goes to show that
The 125 belt
Yeah.
is already like.
it's not so much as relevant now as it once was. Going into the fights,
First one of the evening, we went ahead and we saw Kenny Florian taking on Diego Sanchez for the middleweight tournament final. I mean, Diego just kind of controlled the fight throughout, didn't he?
yeah. Kenny, a jiu-jitsu specialist, but Diego Sanchez showed that doesn't matter when you apply the amount of pressure that he was applying. Didn't last very long. Stopped in the first.
Yeah.
But I think it was at 2:49 in the first.
Yeah.
So just halfway through. Clearly, you saw as they entered. Clearly, there was more Sanchez fans in the arena, and he proved that he was a deserving winner, deserving ultimate fighter.
I remember going back, obviously, and watching this, and I really wanted Ken Flo to win it because I liked Kenny Florian.
Yeah.
I think they called Diego Sanchez the Zen Master. Mike Goldberg.
Bunch of names.
Yeah.
A bunch of nicknames.
I mean, he was known as the Nightmare, but Mike Goldberg was like the Zen Master, Diego Sanchez. Because on the show, I don't know if you remember when he was doing cartwheels down a hill, shouting yes.
He's an odd guy. He's an odd guy.
And he likes to train outside in the rain to absorb the energy from the gods.
Whatever works for you, man. What can you say?
Something interesting. Kenny Florian beat Chris Lieben in the semi-finals. Think about how big both men got in their careers, and think about how small Kenny Florian got in his career. The fact that he went on to beat Chris Lieben, in my opinion, is a fantastic achievement. Sanchez had a Mexican band that played him in.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. But yeah, he got on mount, pounded Kenny out, and Steve Mazzagatti, who I wrote "Ew" for, finished the fight.
That is the exact same thing I wrote. The first thing I wrote was "Oh no." Steve Mazzagatti.
But yeah, round one win, 2 minutes 49 for Diego Sanchez, and he is your middleweight tournament winner. He gets a 6-figure deal with the UFC, a brand new car, a brand new bike, and most importantly, he gets a watch. Starts going on and on and on post-fight until Joe Rogan cuts him off.
Joe Rogan, I know it was really odd because I was watching the post-fight comments, and he was thanking his masseuse, and he was thanking his acupuncture guy, which is absolutely weird as to why you didn't thank either of those, but there we go.
Light heavyweight tournament final was up next. Probably the best fight in MMA of all time. We had Stephan Bonnar taking on Forrest Griffin.
Amazing fight. Not much that you can say about this fight that hasn't already been said. If you're a fan out there that hasn't watched this fight before,
what are you doing?
Exactly, you need to watch this fight. If you're a casual, if you're a hardcore, this fight needs to be watched. I can't imagine there's many people out there that haven't watched it at this point, though.
Yeah, I think even people who don't like MMA have even watched this fight.
Exactly.
Before the fight, we had background videos on both of them. Forrest Griffin is one of my favourite fighters of all time. I said Cote was last week. I have a contingent, so seeing here, we got to watch in these cards some of my favourite fighters. We had Forrest Griffin, Patrick Cote, Chuck Liddell. Personally, like my Mount Rushmore of personal me fighters. This one would end that round, Mount Rushmore, I think.
100%.
But yeah, it was fantastic to see this fight because it's the fight that kicked the UFC off into stardom.
Exactly.
I swear Stephan Bonnar has not aged a day since the Ultimate Fight finale. Just look at him now and look at him then. He looks the exact same. Vince from Entourage was in the crowd as well.
There was a few famous people. Pamela Anderson was in the crowd.
Yeah, that was weird.
Which was absolutely weird.
That was for UFC 52, I think.
Yes, it was.
And Vanilla Ice as well.
Yeah, which was. I know, just
and they like heavily featured Vanilla Ice.
I mean, I'm sure Vanilla Ice was famous back then. I'm sure he was relevant.
I mean, this was like 2005, 2006.
When did Ice Baby come out?
Like,
that was like in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a few years old, so who cares? But going into the fight itself, action from the offset. They come out swinging immediately. They just round one. I gave round one to Forrest Griffin.
Yeah, I thought his stand-up was a lot better.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not much that you can take away from Stephan Bonnar. A tough round, and just action from the offset.
I mean, there was nice shots by Forrest in the clinch. I thought he got the better of the exchanges.
Yeah.
Bonner didn't really land too much in that round. Griffin landed most of the things, and then as we saw halfway through the second round, he slowly started to gas out.
Yeah. And you saw that halfway through, and then you saw that in the beginning of the third as well. They had almost like a whole round between the second half of the second round and the first half of the third round, where the pace was slowing down a bit. Still exciting.
But they were still landing.
They were still landing.
It was like they were fighting underwater.
Exactly.
So I wrote a comparison here. So there was complete exhaustion on both members' part, but they continued to fight. The exact same way that Dada 5000 and Kimbo Slice continued to fight. But except this one had class and skill, and it was a much better fight. But if you look at the Dada and Kimbo fight, they still swung, but they swung like they were genuinely 50 feet underwater.
They were swinging. they didn't even want to hit each other. They were just swinging for the sake of swinging at that point.
But this one, these guys wanted to fight.
Amazing. I mean, so we speak about them being tired. Bonner throws a spinning back kick, I think it was.
Yeah, in the third
round, towards the end of the third round. So just think about going through these 2.5 grueling rounds, an absolute war, and then to still throw crazy stuff like that. It was amazing to watch.
The knee by Stephan Bonner that hit Forrest Griffin, I think it was in the second round. How Forrest Griffin was even on his feet after that.
Amazing. I mean, two tough guys. Amazing fight. Bloodied up afterwards. What more can you say about this fight?
I mean, this fight is in the Hall of Fame for UFC for a reason.
Easily. If it's not your favourite fight of all time, then it's easily in the top 5, if not the top 3.
It's the reason that the UFC is still alive at the end of the day.
Very easily.
The reason that we still have this sport, the reason why we're here talking about this now, it's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. It's a crazy fight. But at the end of the day, Forrest Griffin ended up putting out a unanimous decision victory, 2-1. A lot of boos in the arena.
Yeah.
I gave round 1 and 2 to Griffin, or maybe 3. I didn't really know.
It was a tough one.
It's so hard to score.
I definitely gave him the first round. I gave him the first and the third, and then one of the second, personally. But it was a tough one to score. Either way.
I couldn't. It was so hard.
An exception was made. And
yeah.
they were both given the 6-figure contracts.
But one of the most memorable things I think I remember is the decision, and then Bonner just collapsing.
Yeah, I know. It's to go out and put your whole blood, sweat, tears, your soul out there, and then to lose it on decision is, I can imagine it would be crushing. And then to go from that crushing defeat to the elation that is that you've been given this contract that's going to change your life, it must be amazing.
But more importantly, Forrest Griffin won a new car, a new dirt bike, and most importantly, he won a watch.
I don't know if you heard, he said, "Can I pawn this now?" The first thing he said is, he goes, "Can I pawn this watch now?" Which is shows you how much money fighters were making back then.
Stephan Bonner as well, post-fight, saying that he wants the car. That's what he wants. That's why he wanted to win, because he wanted the car. So my point has been valid the whole time. Bonner only wanted to win for the car. But yeah, they announced that Bonner gets a contract too. You see Bruce Buffer in the background just doing yes chants.
He was. I think everyone was happy when they announced that. It's nice to see the UFC, not because we consider the UFC now that big bad organisation. It's nice to see them do something for a fighter that truly should put on a show for him. And they knew that this was the beginning of the start of something special. They knew that what it was. So it's nice to see that.
Yeah, I just wrote, how the fuck does Rich Franklin and Ken Shamrock follow that? Like, realistically, how the fuck does it follow it?
It didn't, if we're being honest.
End of the day, that fight drew a lot of people in, and that was the co-main event. So them hearing that we're going to see Ken Shamrock versus Rich Franklin after. Ken, yeah, previously from his days in Japan, his wrestling days as well, he was a bit of a household name, kind of.
Almost.
So people knew who he was and stuck around more than likely for the fight.
Yeah.
And, well, they saw Rich Franklin look good.
Yeah, sort of passing of the torch in a way. Ken Shamrock was like 40 something, in his 40s. Probably on that special sauce.
Yeah.
Very likely on that special sauce. He looked like an absolute Adonis, and there's no way you should look like that when you're 40. But nice win for Rich Franklin, who I think went on to fight for the title after that.
Yeah, he fought Evan Tanner for the middleweight belt, so he actually went down after this, beat Tanner for the middleweight title, which was actually the next UFC event after this. They spread him out a lot over times. I just wrote, "Oh boy, can't wait to watch Ken get beat up." He was the first inductee into the UFC Hall of Fame alongside Royce Gracie. World's most dangerous man. Lol. At this point, no.
They kept saying that, and it annoyed me so much every time they said it, as if there isn't more dangerous men.
So I thought Rich Franklin was lighting him up on the feet, and I thought he dropped him, but Shamrock went for the takedown. He had a nice leg lock.
Yeah.
It looked like it was tight, but Franklin got out of it easily. Ken then slipped when they got back up to the feet, and Rich Franklin capitalised on that and knocked him clean out.
Yeah. You can't really say much about the fight. It didn't last very long. A little bit unfortunate for Ken in the slip, but overall, if you look back at history and things like that, there only should have ever been one winner for the UFC to progress. It should have been Rich Franklin. You don't want the old guy to keep winning and to destroy these prospects, and it's good
so
to see.
Ken went for a kick and fell over.
Yeah, he slipped twice in the fight, so
Yeah.
it's weird. Maybe talcumed his feet before the fight or something, or Vaseline them up or something weird like that.
Yeah, he slipped after the kick, and Franklin jumped on it, and that was it. Round one, knockout for Rich Franklin.
When I first saw the first slip, it looked like he was trying to feign being hit a little bit. It looked like he was trying to go for the dive. Either way, he lost the fight.
Doing a Bob Sapp.
There we go. There we go.
But yeah, UFC 52 is the next one we're going to be going ahead and talking about. We're going to go ahead and look at the prelims and then the main card. I just wrote nothing beats the face the pain intro. Ever. Nothing ever beats
I
that.
was the exact opposite. I'm so happy they don't do that.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Whoa.
I honestly can't. I think that this was when the UFC played to the white redneck contingent, the white male contingent. Now it's more professional, and I think that's the way that it should be. It should be more professional.
Oh, I love the fucking face
Fair
paint
enough.
intro. It is the OG of
Fair enough.
anything. Greatest intro of all time.
Fair enough. But we spoke a little bit about obviously TUF 1 being the beginning of something special. What a way to follow it up other than this card. Let's be honest. I mean, if that was the entree, this was the main course. This card didn't have a fight as amazing as the Stefan
And the
Griffin
dessert.
fight. Yeah, exactly. Didn't have a fight as amazing as the Stefan Bonner and Forrest Griffin fight, but the card overall was a really fun card from start to finish.
Yeah, without a doubt. My fight pass glitched. So I think I texted you being like, "What the fuck? Matt Hughes versus Frank Trigger's
Yeah,
fight? I don't remember this."
I saw that when I was watching it. I was going back to look at your text, and I saw that. I was like, it's definitely not.
So my fight pass glitched. So I got the last 3 fights first, and then it went back,
Okay.
and then I got GSP last.
Fair enough.
So I didn't actually watch the Mike Van Arsdale versus John Marsh fight because personally I don't like watching Van Arsdale. I've watched him a few times, and I think he's a very boring fighter.
I watched the fight. It wasn't a terrible fight. It was definitely not a fun fight.
He just sits in side control most of the time.
That was literally all the fight.
Yeah.
He was in side control. He was not tight in side control, slightly loose, and we just hitting him with elbows the entire time. So a deserved unanimous decision win for him. But
One on the age of 39 as well.
not
Fair
an
enough.
exciting win. Nothing too special about the fight.
So I got to try and scrabble through my notes here. So
good.
what was the next fight?
Patrick Cote versus Joe Dirksen was the next fight.
I went Wahey Cote. Like I said, he's
Yeah.
one of my favourite fighters of all time. So very happy to see him fight. And for God's sake, can we watch a fight where Cote gets a win?
I mean, he's a fun fighter. And he's a fun fighter for a reason. This fight itself was nice to watch.
The takedowns by Dirksen was absolutely beautiful.
Very, very good. Cote showing that maybe at this point in time hadn't quite trained the takedown defense, or maybe Joe Dirksen was just that good. But Cote still looked like he was trying to do something from the bottom, trying to do something from the ground, which is nice to see. And that never die attitude that you love from Cote, and it's nice to watch him back then as opposed to.
So I had a 10-9 for Dirksen in the first
Yeah.
round. Second round, I had Cote winning. Although Joe Rogan was very adamant to say that Dirksen won that.
I gave it to Dirksen as well.
Oh, I thought he really looked better on the feet, and he controlled it most of the time on the floor. Although Dirksen got the takedown, I think Cote sweeped him twice, and it was like, oh, how has Dirksen won this round?
I thought because I think Dirksen almost got choked in the second round. I feel like he got the choke. So in the second round, the way he got the choke in the third round he set it up in the first where in the second where he was pinning his arm down with his left leg and then attacking the neck, and I think judges see you going for the finish, and I think that's probably why he won it. That's why I gave him the round anyways.
I mean, I gave it to Cote because most of my notes were Cote. So a takedown from Durkinson, the first one, Cote gets straight back up, but then he lands another one. Cote rolls him over, but Durkinson gets a submission. There you go, yes, that was what you were on about. Cote hits a flying knee, Cote catches him with a punch, with a head kick. Cote spends most of the time on top. I thought Cote won the round, but I did say it was a tough round to call, but I'll give it this to Cote. He looked good on the feet and was on top for a long time.
Yeah.
Started the third round, Patrick Cote came out like a freight train.
Yeah, he looked really, really good.
An uppercut, dropped Dirksen, and I thought that was it.
So did I. But he does a really, really good job of controlling Cote.
And it was a beautiful sweep.
Beautiful sweep. Takes his back, grabs the left arm with the left leg again, and then just sinks in that rear naked, and Cote obviously forced to tap or go out, basically. Either or. And I mean, you can say what you want. No one's ever going to say that Cote isn't a warrior for a tap in then. Tough loss, but really good win for Dirksen, who looked really solid in the fight.
So yeah, Cote is one of my favourite fighters of all time, and that's the second time we've watched him on this podcast now, and he's lost both times.
We will when we next watch him, it will be all. We'll pick a fight specifically for him.
You know, the next time we're just going to watch like Cote versus Cowboy. But no, not again. But yeah, moving into the next fight then on the preliminary card, it is going to be Ivan Salaverry versus Joe Diesel Riggs in the middleweight division. I wrote, fuck, Riggs is so cocky.
Interesting fight to watch. I think from my notes, it not very long. He kicks him from the ground, if I remember correctly.
He lands 2 up kicks.
Yes.
And knocks him basically out.
Into the triangle immediately.
Yeah.
Almost knocks him out into a triangle, which is amazing to watch.
It was crazy.
And then chokes him out. So you'd think he's about to knock him out. Doesn't. Chokes the man out.
Chokes him out. Which is fucking... It was brilliant by Salaverry. Yeah. I just said I'm pretty sure Tito Ortiz is coaching one of these guys. And then you see Ortiz just run in and hug Salaverry. I'm like, oh, he was coaching Salaverry.
There we go.
But yeah, Ivan Salaverry gets the win in round 1, 2 minutes 42, in probably the biggest win of his career. And it's now George St. Pierre?
Yeah, Mayhem Miller versus George St. Pierre. You spoke earlier about Sanchez being a weird guy. Mayhem Miller is probably the epitome of weird guys. I mean, I was watching him come.
He came in with a bag on his head before, isn't it?
He came in with for this fight, mask,
Oh.
money, threw it out, and it was interesting to hear Joe Rogan say he missed weight before in this fight, because he had a platinum grill in his mouth, and then was told to remove the platinum grill and made weight. So if you ever want to see a weird fighter, someone like Mayhem Miller is probably right up there.
Yeah, Jason Miller, I can't stand the guy.
He is weird. I mean, he's been arrested about 20 times in the last 4 years.
I used to not mind him, but then I watched the Ultimate Fighter season with Bisping, and obviously me being a Bisping boy, fucking hated it. Like, end of the day, he's just a bit of a knob.
He is for sure. He's a weird cookie. I think the entire time they were doing the introductions, he did not stop having this extremely weird grin on his face, almost like a Joker-esque.
He was smiling, yeah.
He was smiling the entire time like a Joker-esque thing. Even when he was losing the fight as a Joker, it was weird to see.
It wasn't really memorable, this fight.
No,
I thought GSP landed leg kicks, flying elbow, which was fun.
Yeah.
Just continued to dominate, getting the takedown, getting the stand up on the feet.
GSP just being GSP and showing why he was one of the greats.
Post fight as well, he said that he was ill.
Yeah.
Going into the fight, that's why he didn't perform to his best. Yeah.
But I mean, GSP not performing at his best is still better than most.
Yeah.
Interesting to see. I don't think Mayhem Miller won a single fight in the UFC. He lost this fight, lost to Bisping.
He lost to Damian Maia, I think, as well. I'm gonna have to look that up now.
I don't think he won a single fight in the UFC. I think he lost all his fights. But yeah, like I said, GSP showing why he's considered one of the greats, top 3, probably him, Jones, and Anderson,
or Yves Couture.
I would say probably Mighty Mouse up there in that top 3. That's my personal top 3. Him, John Jones, and Mighty Mouse. Anderson's up there. I mean, a bunch of these guys are up there. But GSP showing absolute dominance in this fight, from the clinch to the stand-up. Didn't quite get the finish on Mayhem Miller, but Miller's a tough guy to finish. I mean, you can just tell that.
Yeah, no, he didn't win a fight in the UFC, so we lost to George St. Pierre by unanimous decision. Yeah. He then went away for a bit, fought in Dream, Strikeforce, beat Sakuraba in Dream, and then he fought Bisping on the Ultimate Fighter season, 14. That was the one where TJ Dillashaw lost in the final to Dodson, and Diego Brandao beat Dennis Bermudez, which is probably one of the best finale fights of all time, and that's including having that Bonnar fight. It was a crazy one-round war. Bisping TKO'd him, and then he got beat by CB Dollaway. So yeah, Norton free.
One of these guys that maybe is a little bit more well known for his actions and antics as opposed to his actual UFC record, unfortunately.
Where's my rematch, buddy?
There we go. Oh my goodness, that guy is an absolute character.
Next fight was Matt the Law Lindland taking on Travis Luter. Lindland, I thought, looked really good in this fight. Landed multiple takedowns. Granted, Luter did get on top sometimes with a few. We saw a lot of sweeps on this night.
We did see a lot of sweeps.
But then Lindland again getting him down 10-9. Lindland, I thought, in the first round. And then the start of the round, Lindland gets a takedown again.
Yeah.
Lindland is landed a little bit of ground and pound. And then I just wrote Bob's Barbecue. They were talking about sponsors, I think.
I know, it was very weird. It was very weird, the early days of the UFC where they were sponsored by like Bob's Barbecue and some random American steak or something like that. But wait to see.
But a standing guillotine.
Yeah.
Damn, it was nasty. He like lifted his whole body off the floor and then dropped him.
Really far back.
It fucking DDT'd him in the ground.
It was crazy. I mean, most people's heads would have come off if we're being honest. That was extremely, extremely violent.
But a round 2 submission, 3 minutes 15 for Matt the Law Lindland. We saw Dan Henderson in his corner, so go check out last week's podcast for more Dan Henderson antics.
There we go.
But now we move into the big boy fights. We are moving into Dana White's favourite fight of all time.
My favourite fight of all time.
Oh, really?
My favourite fight of all time. Matt Hughes versus Frank Trigg. My favourite fight of all time for probably that. We'll get into it in a second, but probably there's like I think 2.5 minute period or something like that. I mean, from the offset, the stare down itself, they almost kissed. It's face to face, super intense. I think Hughes pushes him away.
He refused to look at him for the introductions as well.
Yeah, going into the fight, Hughes says that I held on to the last choke more than I should have to send him a message. He didn't get the message, so I'm going to do the same thing this time.
It's lovely because Hughes refused the fight. At first, he was like, he doesn't see the point of fighting him because he beat him in the best way he could possible last time. Crazy fight. Yeah. So they
Dolph
Lundgren was in the crowd as well, and then they started doing impressions of if he dies, and all.
There we go. Starts off as you would expect. They clinch fairly early. Trigg throws a few knees. One of the knees catches Hughes in the groin.
Yeah. For fuck's sake, Mario Yamasaki is what I wrote.
Goodness gracious. I mean, you knew something weird was going to happen, even if you haven't watched this fight before, because it's Mario Yamasaki. But he knees him in the groin. Yamasaki warns him, says no low blows, doesn't stop the fight.
And then keeps going.
Hughes obviously hurt, and then Trigg drops him.
Naked choke.
Grabs him a rear naked choke. So it's interesting to note, if you haven't watched the first fight, Hughes finished him with a standing rear naked, and it looked like the same thing was going to happen to Hughes.
But then he drops. But Hughes started to stand up. We're like,
yeah.
Oh shit! Is it going to be the exact same?
The exact same thing, but it's going to be on the other hand. Hughes' face goes bright purple,
and then he somehow
squeezes out.
And then he fucking picks him up and runs across the octagon and slams Frank Trigg on the floor.
So we spoke earlier about the Bonner fight. If people haven't watched that, they need to watch that, because he could have just picked him up and slammed him. He said, fuck that.
I'm going to my corner.
I'm going to pick you up, walk you across the cage, or run you across the cage, and slam you. And that's exactly what he does. And he slams the guy, drops a couple massive elbows on Triggs, and then sinks in the rear naked. Again. And Trigg taps out.
Hall of Fame fight.
Oh my goodness. And this is why Hughes, I mean, we speak about Mount Rushmore, Hughes has to be up there.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to forget because how amazing GSP was.
I mean, if you just look at the people that are in that Oh, it's so difficult for your Mount Rushmore because you've got the Pat Militiches from the early day, you've got the Vanderlei Silvers, you've got the Matt Hugheses, you've got the Chuck Liddells, you've got the Randy Coutures.
I hate even using the phrase Mount Rushmore because there's only
4 spots.
Exactly, Mount Rushmore. You say 4 spots. Let's just go Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame, easily in the Hall of Fame, and we wish him all the best for the future because obviously he's still recovering from the injury. So the next fight
we got we got Cindy Crawford and Pam Anderson in the crowd, right?
Which is
absolutely
weird.
That is what was most important to me.
Why? And then there was Pam Anderson was speaking to some guy with a chain who I didn't even know.
Who apparently she went out with, and he said he's the most luckiest man on earth. Like,
I mean, just some random people in the crowd.
We did get an advert for Arlovsky. He was going to be defending his interim heavyweight title, and then we're going to see Rich Franklin versus Evan Tanner as well at UFC 53. And I just wrote the start of the interview with Arlovsky was awkward.
Arlovsky didn't know a lick of English.
He was just like, yeah.
Had some weird style going on. Had a bit of a chin strap in it.
Oh, it says he looked like a bootleg Borat.
He looked odd. It was an odd look, and then he was going for sort of a almost like a Frosted Peaks type deal with blonde highlights in his hair and all the weird one. But the next fight we had Travis with
who we saw in the last one as well.
Yeah. Weird name, way to pronounce it. Then we had Renato Babalu Sobral, who I think fought in that Bellator card if I'm not wrong. But the fight is just one to see. Travis gets a takedown early as he pushes against the cage. Gets stood up again, and Babalu and Travis's guard, small break, and Travis loses his mouthpiece in this fight. And this is where you see the difference between the refs. You see someone like Mario Yamasaki who allowed a groin chop to go through and not stop the fight, and then you see who I think it was, I can't remember who the ref was, but stop it this time and allow him to put his mouthpiece back.
I'm pretty sure it was Big Dan.
It may have been Big Dan.
But Babalu, I love Babalu.
Yeah.
He's one of my favourite fighters again. Like, yay.
didn't use anything other than Babalu or didn't refer to him as anything other than Babalu the entire fight.
I think Babalu's really underrated. Previously he'd lost to Chuck Liddell in the UFC. And that one night tournament that they mentioned is one of the most wild tournaments ever.
Wow.
Forrest Griffin was in that tournament. Mauricio Hua. I can't remember who else is in there now.
Maybe you want to go back and watch them.
But yeah, it was a one night tournament and it had just like loads of lightweight fighters. A lot of heavyweight. I think Chael Sonnen was in it as well. It was just crazy.
Just names. Just Mount Rushmore names, shall we say.
Yeah.
So going into round 2, Travis catches his leg and gets a takedown.
But how quick was Babalu?
Amazingly quick. It was amazing to watch. Grabs his arm and secures the armbar.
And gets the tap in round 2, 24 seconds.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, I've got it written down here. Round 2, 24 seconds.
There we go. So a fun fight to watch and a really nice submission from Babalu.
Yeah, fantastic by Renato Sobral. Very happy to see him get the win. Just taking him down relentlessly and looked really good. So fair play to big old Babalu.
Coming up to the main event now. The reason people watch this fight.
This at this point was probably the biggest fight in UFC history.
Yeah.
Randy Couture versus the most popular man, I think, the UFC, bar Conor McGregor. He is the most popular fighter the UFC has ever had.
Ronda's got to be the second most popular fighter.
Alright, but you've got to think of how Chuck Liddell changed
in terms of significance.
Okay, yeah, because to be fair, look how popular the UFC... If they were about when Chuck Liddell was about, they wouldn't be as popular as Chuck Liddell, if that makes sense. So I think Chuck Liddell, if you have to look at the time periods.
Yeah.
So yeah, granted, Ronda was such a star.
Either way,
but Chuck Liddell was the first man to break $1 million pay-per-views.
He was the first mainstream guy. He was the first guy that was not just a fighter. He was 100% a fighter. Let's not get that wrong. But he wasn't the guy that was only known for fighting. He became popular. He went on talk shows. He went on
drunken.
I mean, party animal, celebrity, superstar, Chuck Liddell. And this is the rematch. I think it was.
Yeah. So this is the second fight. The first one, Randy finished him.
Yeah.
First time, well, no, it wasn't because he got beat by Jeremy Horn before.
Yeah.
But second time, Chuck had been finished. But the first time that he was made to look not like the Chuck Liddell we know. It's a fantastic performance by Chuck, to say the least. And Yeah, what did you think of it?
I liked it. This was so. We speak about how significant this fight was. The crowd went crazy when these guys came out. I could not hear the commentators. That's how loud the crowd was. It was amazing.
And this is why I think Chuck is the one of the most popular.
I mean,
because you have to look at the way he transformed it.
The only other time I can remember crowds being this loud is maybe the Conor coming out at MSG or the Dublin card. I'm sure there's a few others, but this, it was just amazing to see the roar of the crowd, the energy in the crowd, and the amount of excitement for this fight was I mean, like nothing we'd seen before, and nothing we saw since for a long time.
Yeah, well, we saw Joe Rogan's hero, didn't we? Randy Couture.
Yeah.
It was a crazy fight. I mean, it's one of them moments where if you can go back and watch an MMA event, this is probably one of the ones that you want to go back and watch 100%. Ever,
the
like live.
You cannot understate how significant, overstate rather, how significant this fight was to MMA. Without it, we might not be talking about UFC now. This might be a boxing podcast without it. Let's be honest, or a foot or something else. We might not have MMA in the same capacity as it is now. The UFC may have been bought by Bellator or something, but it may have been bought by the people that eventually Pride. Yeah, it could have been the other way. We could have had the UFC bought by Pride. Exactly.
It could be a bloody New Japan podcast.
Exactly. You never know, and it's just amazing to see, and the fight itself exciting.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about celebrities as well beforehand. Rich Franklin was the only one that I can remember that went for Chuck. Smart man.
Yeah, everyone else was going for Randy. I mean, I say everyone else. They have like Pamela Anderson, and I was like, I don't give a fuck what Pamela's pick is like.
I mean, are you sure you didn't want to know who Vanilla Ice wanted to pick?
Goodness gracious, why Vanilla Ice was even being interviewed? I'm pretty sure he wasn't relevant back then, but there we go. Vanilla Ice picked Randy. No, he picked Liddell.
Oh, Vanilla Ice is the man.
Vanilla Ice picked Liddell because he goes, we're both ice men. So his song was like 10 years old and he still referred it. That's how bad this guy is. Either way. But yeah,
Randy knocks Chuck. Chuck knocks Randy out. I'm talking about the first one.
Yeah, Chuck catches him with a, I think it was an uppercut or something, or a left hook.
It was a lovely exchange in the clinch.
Lovely exchange. Knocks him, and then Randy says, fuck this, and just starts swinging, and then gets caught, and gets dropped.
And then Chuck lands some bombs after.
Absolute bombs. I think it cut back to after. Obviously, Chuck wins by knockout.
He was still out on the floor.
Still out. They came back to him like a minute later or 30 seconds later, and he was still completely out of it. Tough knockout for Randy. I mean, it's to be expected. The guy was 40 at the time. You shouldn't be getting knocked out when you're 40. It's going to be bad for your health.
Everyone was so hyped as well afterwards.
Yeah.
Like even the commentators were like, yes!
Yeah, I mean, because you knew what was coming. You knew that it was the beginning of something special. And we saw
one of the most memorable light heavyweight reigns of all time.
100%.
Like when you talk about light heavyweights, you think, oh right, yeah, John Jones, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz. You think about these guys because they're the most memorable. Everyone was so hyped though. Chuck Liddell gets the win. It was a right hook. It was nasty. And oh shit, Chuck Liddell called Vanderlei Silva out.
I mean,
I want to fuck Chuck, fight Chuck.
Vanderlei, when people were not calling out for Vanderlei, let's be real. Like Vanderlei, the axe murderer.
I want to fuck Chuck, fight Chuck.
But yeah, obviously Chuck does the infamous scream arms out.
And then the revving up the
chainsaw type deal. Oh my goodness, the guy's a killer. It was amazing to watch. And yeah.
Overall though, how did you enjoy it? I thought we were probably treated to what will be the best fights we will see overall on this podcast.
Yeah.
We saw 2 Hall of Fame fights. Like
yeah,
2, and we also got to see Dustin Poirier and Gaethje.
Yeah.
We were treated this week.
Absolutely. I mean, good week for us. Good week if you're a fight fan in general.
Yeah.
If you weren't watching this card back, really fun. And again, I mean, 52 is just one of those cards that if you haven't watched, go back and watch. The significance cannot be underplayed. It's just amazing.
Yeah, one of the greatest fights of all time in both cards, and without a doubt one of the best events of all time. And one of the best seasons of The Ultimate Fighter ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to do it for the Fight Flashback card. We're going to reveal what we're going to be doing next week. So next week we're going to be going ahead and looking at our roots. We're going to be looking back at British MMA.
Fine.
We're going to be going ahead and looking at Cage Rage 9. Very significant event. We saw the likes of an early Brad Pickett. We saw Alex Reed fight on this card. We saw Babalu. We saw Michael Bisping, and we saw a pioneer of British MMA, Ian Freeman, in the main event. So, interesting one. Livia, I know you weren't really massively into Cage Rage or anything like that. Haven't really watched any of their events.
No.
Obviously, before they had the likes of Anderson Silva fight there. Are you looking forward to watching this card?
100%. I think it's important to watch these fights. When we're speaking about the significance of this fight, this card, you can't understate the significance of people like Michael Bisping and Brad Pickett, pioneers for the sport.
And Ian Freeman,
exactly,
without a doubt, a man that beat Frank Mir.
Yeah, pioneers for the sport, and goes to show that although the Americas kind of have a little bit of a monopoly on MMA at the moment,
we're still producing
we're
some
still
good events.
producing names, we're still producing events, we're still producing fighters. So
like Cage Warriors now, still getting fighters signed by the UFC.
Exactly.
Look at Molly McCann, I think her name is. The prospect.
I mean, Conor came from Cage Warriors, so I mean,
Joe Duffy.
Exactly. If you're not a main hardcore fan and you're just a casual, you gotta know who Conor is. He came from a British MMA organisation.
And if you type in Conor McGregor fight, you're likely going to get the one where he won two belts and jumped into the crowd.
Yeah.
Sorry, the first belt when he jumped into the crowd. That is one of the most memorable Conor McGregor moments that you're going to see. So
celebrating British MMA next week.
Yeah, Cage Rage 9 is what we're going to be going ahead and looking at. Going into then the final segment, we're going to go ahead and pick our picks for UFC Atlantic City. Got quite a few fights on the main card actually. I was quite surprised when I saw this.
Yeah, it's a very stacked main card. The card itself should not be. We should mention how good it is. It's a very, very good card. From the top to the main card, at least I didn't watch much of the prelims, or I haven't looked at how many people are on the prelims. But do you want to start making your picks? Do you want to start from the bottom of the main?
Yeah, well, I just want to talk about the prelims quickly because we got some decent fights on there. We got Leslie Smith and Aspin Ladd main event in the Fight Pass prelims. I think that was a very interesting fight. Aspin Ladd obviously undefeated. Leslie Smith, bit of a pioneer of the division, bit of a gatekeeper. Sorry. Light heavyweight is very interesting on this night. We got Corey Anderson and Patrick Cummins coming up against each other. We see the return of Siar Bahadraza.
Sure.
He had a good performance either way in his last bout. Pretty sure it's in the Scotland card. The Nelson versus Ponzinibbio fight either way. We got Ryan LaFleur and Alex Garcia going at it. Magomed Bibulitanov is fighting as well. Interesting fight card.
You did a good job pronouncing
that. I was very proud.
You did a very good job of pronouncing that last one.
I was very proud of that, not going to lie. But we're kicking off the main card with, in my opinion, a fight that will be fight of the night. We got Jim Miller versus Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is very dangerous in this division. Very dangerous.
Bit of an all-rounder. I mean, his very good. So let me just start off with how I picked it. So I picked a Hooker TKO round 2 or KO, either or. He's shown that he's a bit of a stoppage power, and I feel like I feel like Jim Miller. He probably doesn't want to go to the ground with Jim Miller.
No,
Jim Miller's dangerous. So tries to keep it standing up.
I think Hooker is fantastic on the feet, but his last 2 out of 3 finishes in the UFC have been by submission.
Yeah. Since
returning to lightweight or / making his debut at lightweight in the UFC, he's beat Ross Pearson and Mark Diakese. So he's been on a tear on these English guys. This time he's coming up against Jim Miller in what is probably a bit of a showcase fight for him. Yeah. Maybe break into the top 15 if he can win this fight. The Hangman is on the up. I'm going with a 3rd round knockout for Hooker. Cool. I probably could see him stopping it earlier. We've seen the likes of Michael Chiesa beat Miller earlier. So do you know what? Fuck that. I'm going Daniel Hooker 1st round knockout.
Wow. Well,
yeah. As much as I like Jim Miller, I am on the Hooker hype train.
It's a good pick. It's definitely one that could come to be.
Yeah. So I'm going 1st round knockout.
I'm going 2nd.
Cool. So going into the 2nd fight on the main card. This is a fight that I struggled to pick because it was my pick for fight of the week. We've got Aljamain Sterling versus Brett Johns. Yeah,
interesting fight. Brett Johns, bit of a hype train at the moment.
15, 16-0.
Yeah, undefeated from Wales, an unknown town in Wales. I think it was somewhere where MMA you wouldn't expect to come out of, but obviously
Swansea.
Swansea. I thought it was from a little village. I watched something on the Wales Times or a newspaper where he was from a little village. Either way, obviously important fight for him. Beat someone like Aljo, who's an established fighter at the division. If he gets the win, he showcases that he deserves to be in the top 10. Aljo's in the top 10, I think. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Brett Johns, I'm fully on the hype train. That calf slice of Joe Soto in his last fight was absolutely mental. Really looking forward to this one, and without a doubt, it should be a great fight.
Yeah, cool. So I've got a Aljo decision for this one.
And I've got a Brett Johns decision.
Wow, so that's the first one where we picked differently. I think Johns will probably want to take it to the ground, but Aljo is solid all round. I mean, he comes from the Serra Longo camp.
Yeah.
So we know that they've got jiu-jitsu and wrestling for days at that camp with his training partners. Maybe not his training partners, but with the other people that train there. People like Chris Weidman, Gian Vellante, all these crazy wrestlers, and then you've got Matt Serra, who's a jiu-jitsu specialist. So we know that he's solid on the ground, and I think he plays out decision, Aljo decision.
Yeah, really interesting fight. So be tough to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
I think Johns is going to get it done, but you think Aljo?
Yeah.
Next fight is a middleweight contest between David Branch and Thiago Santos. Again, another one where I am struggling to pick it. I'm going to go with a David Branch decision, though.
So did I. I went with the Branch decision. We should note that Thiago Santos could finish this fight. David Branch likes to set the takedown up with strikes, and if you strike with Thiago Santos, you could get finished. So it could end early for Branch. But in my heart of hearts, I feel like he gets the decision victory.
I think Santos has done well since coming up to middleweight. But I think David Branch, he's had very tough fights in the UFC so far. And although his record, I think, is 1-2, or 2 is something lower, he fought Luke Rockhold. Like, this man can't be taken without a pinch of salt. He's 1-1, beat Christoph Jotko by split decision in his first fight. And then he got subbed by Luke Rockhold. But I thought he did well in the Rockhold fight.
He did. Rockhold didn't look as good as he had looked, so it's interesting to see. This fight will showcase whether it's Rockhold looking bad on the night, or whether it's David Branch just genuinely being that good that he could give Rockhold a bit of a challenge.
Former World Series of Fighting middleweight champ as well, so it could be very interesting to see. Next fight is a heavyweight contest. I don't know how this is on the main card.
No.
Chase Sherman, who's on I think a 2-fight losing streak, is taking on Justin Willis.
Yes. I think we've both got this for round 1 KO.
Yeah, for Willis.
Yes. Interesting to know, I was looking at some of Sherman's stats. He absorbs 5 significant strikes a minute, which you do not want to do at any weight class, but especially not at heavyweight.
Yeah, without that, like
it's a difficult one to not pick. Basically, Justin Willis KO first round for me.
And Sherman has tried hyping up this fight, like trash talking him, so expect Willis to come out.
But it should be noted that Sherman has one of my favourite nicknames,
the Vanilla Gorilla.
The Vanilla Gorilla, and his Instagram or his social media game is on point. So
co-main event though is Frankie Edgar taking on Cub Swanson. Edgar looking to bounce back after a loss to Ortega. So is Swanson. I see an Edgar decision.
So do I. Interesting to see how Edgar bounces back. We've not seen him get knocked out before, so that affects different fighters in different ways. It'll be interesting to see whether he can come back solid. Obviously, this fight is a rematch. Edgar won the first fight
and controlled him.
So it'll be interesting to see whether Cubs learned his lessons from the first fight. Cubs' takedown defense has got a lot better since that first fight, but I feel like Edgar's wrestling will be the difference. So I've got Edgar decision.
And finally the last fight, we've got Edson Barboza taking on Kevin Lee. Not really as hyped up this main event as last week, but I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm going to go with a Barboza 3rd round knockout. I think Kevin Lee's good, but I don't think he's up to the Barboza level of good yet, as well as him being good on the feet. You can't forget, Barboza's alright on the ground as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see Barboza going ahead and getting a KO in the 3rd.
This fight was really, really difficult for me because I thought that the wrestling of Kevin Lee will be the difference. I thought that if he manages to take Barboza down, which isn't easy to do, despite what you can say with the Khabib fight, Khabib didn't take him down at will, but once he had him down, he controlled him a little bit. So I think Kevin Lee might look for a similar strategy to try and control him when he's got him on the ground. His boxing's getting better. So I picked Kevin Lee decision. It should also be said that Barboza could finish this fight again very early. So, it's a tough one.
So I've got a controversial thing I'm going to say. I think he's going to finish it by leg kicks.
Okay.
I think he's going to leg kick Kevin Lee out.
That is
That is my bold pick.
He's the only guy ever to finish someone with leg kicks.
I think he's the only guy to ever win by 3.
Okay.
3 leg
Something
kicks,
crazy
like
that.
knockout, which is crazy.
So
First guy to win by wheel kick as well.
Yeah. I can't remember who the knockout was against, but it's one of those.
Terry Etten.
It's one of those knockouts you have to watch because
English.
his body went stiff. He just didn't move. It was it's a crazy knockout to watch. So
It's a shame because Terry Etten was a good up and coming fighter, and his career's just gone downhill since then.
Like we said, knockouts affect
Well, he
people
jumped in front of a bus, didn't he?
Wow.
And then he came back into the gym like 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a while. I think it was last year sometime, which is crazy, but
This game is no joke. This game is no joke.
So that's going to be it then for this week's podcast. Been a fun one.
Very fun.
Two of the best fights of all time.
Oh, sure.
A fantastic card and a fantastic one to look forward to.
Try and talk about next week.
We're going to be going ahead and watching Cage Rage 9 next week. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed it. I've been James.
And I've been Livio.
We'll see you all guys for the next one.